Hey, everybody, welcome into Urban Meyer's Pint House. It is weekend kickoff, Ohio State and mighty Rutgers on Saturday at 3:30. This show, as always, is presented by Bryant Heating and Cooling System, and we are going to get right into it tonight. Ohio State got a cover last week, and correct me if I'm wrong, the three of you didn't back the Buckeyes last week against Akron, so
first time ever.
Not what a cover of 54 points. What we have seen in the first 3 weeks, no. But I knew they'd win big, but by 54 points.
Well, actually, 54. Austin said it was 54, which that wouldn't have covered. The cover, though, was 49.
Well, it changed
after the game was
59-7, right?
Yeah.
That wouldn't have covered 54,
so we actually
what you gave earlier. You gave 54,
right.
but I gave you the updated line and said it was 49 at the time, so you gave 49.
It was never 54. It opened at 52. It bought down to 49.
Go back. You
said 52, so I still won.
I think it paid for me.
So I won.
That's Cardale Jones, Zach Boren, BB Landers, and Bobby Carpenter. I am just Austin Ward, and we get into this. So last week, I was going to say it was a normal week, at least on the field for the most part it was. Ohio State got back in the win column. They covered. They did what they were supposed to against a non-conference opponent. So I guess if we kept the focus there, that would have been totally normal. But there was the second quarter situation with Kevon Pope.
What exactly was that situation, Austin?
Well, he decided to quit the team in the middle of the game, which I don't think I had
before.
Ever
in a private
seen
way?
Well, I was a part of an NFL game like that where a guy did that. Actually,
you were there?
On the other team.
Okay.
Yeah. What was his name?
Vontae Davis.
For the Bills. See you later. See you guys later. I call you. Hey, nice playing with you guys. What do you mean, Vontae? We got 3 quarters left. No, you got 3 quarters left.
I respect him, though. He's like, he came out and said, I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, I couldn't play. He's like, it wasn't fair to the team. Like, really not fair should have done it maybe a day before, maybe on Monday.
Maybe, or a day after or something.
They couldn't do it. I'm like, all right. Like, and it was private. Like, it wasn't necessarily like, he wasn't upset with anybody.
No, it wasn't throw your gloves in the stands, rip your jersey off, and walk.
Full Monday. Hey, dude, it's Monday Night Raw.
I thought maybe there was a chance that we would just move on and focus on the game, but everybody would.
Well, what if that happens this week?
I don't think that'll happen again.
Okay.
I
hope not.
Yeah, that would be surprising to me. There's not a lot of other candidates on this team that I would be watching to potentially do that.
Maybe that should be our list.
Who
would do that?
I said 1 through 5. He would have been all 5 for me. That's why when Taraja Mitchell waved him off, that's why I watched it. I mean, BB, you know this guy. You played with him.
Yeah.
I mean, former players have to weigh in on this situation. I know Zach's worked up, but you knew Kevon Pope and were in the same locker room with him. I mean, this sort of thing, did it surprise you or not?
I'd say this. For me personally, it did surprise me. I personally haven't had a chance to talk to him about the situation yet. I texted him, he texted me back, kind of call me when you get a chance, kind of see where his mental is, because my time at Ohio State, I was more of I played a big brother type of role for him. You know what I mean? Because we're in different position rooms, but.
So it's your fault.
It ain't my fault. I'm 2 years removed.
Poor mentorship.
Four.
Glad we got to the bottom of it right away.
Core a little different nowadays from when I was there. We're not going to do that. But, so eventually I will get a call from him, kind of see just where his mental was and why he reacted the way that he acted. Because my biggest thing for me personally, knowing Kevon and what did I do, is really not in his personality and within his character from what I know. You know what I mean? Like, granted, I've been out of that locker room now for going on 2 years, so I don't really know where he or anybody else on the team, for the most part, has really shifted, so I can't speak heavily on it. But from what I know myself and me having my personal relationship with him, that don't really fall within who he is.
Yeah, Zach, you had talked about this a week ago, maybe even the week before, that you were wondering about the strength of the current brotherhood, the culture with guys that had missed, Carmen, Ohio, and things like that. I mean, that had to have been more of a concern for you based on what you had already said.
Here's my thing, and it's very plain and simple. Ohio State fans, us, have been wanting to talk about the negative performance the first couple weeks of the season, right? And with all due respect, those guys in that locker room deserve the criticism that we were giving them, deserve the criticism that, Buckeye fans were giving because they weren't playing up to par. Now they finally go out there and perform the way they ought to perform, right? Even though it's Akron, they went out there and did what they were supposed to do. Played well, running around to the football. Yeah, were there mistakes? But you and I talked about this on our breakdown. There's never going to be a perfect game, ever. And so those guys still went out, did what they were supposed to do. You saw some young guys step up. Plays were being made. But instead of talking about that, now everyone wants to talk about the Kayvon Pope situation. I think if I'm a leader on that team, and I know people were asking us about on Twitter what you would do as a captain, kick him off the team. He's gone. Right now, this team, maybe it did, I don't know, still does, had some cancers on this team that needed to be removed out of the locker room. And I think, especially so many young guys playing and so many young contributors on this team, that they look up to those guys and they see the way that they're acting. In my mind, Ryan Day and this coaching staff, the way that team performed Saturday night, we should be talking about that and then building on that going into Big Ten play instead of talking about the Kayvon Pope situation. In my mind, I'm guessing Ryan Day and his coaching staff is thrilled with what happened because it's addition by subtraction.
So
exactly.
I want to ask you this, Cardell, because I feel like we're going to begin to see a little bit of a youth movement with this team. You're starting to play some. They've been rotating a lot of guys, much to the chagrin of everyone. Why are we playing so many guys? I'm like, well, they're trying to figure out who they should play, and you're always going to kind of give deference to some of the veteran players who have been there, and they put the work in. How hard they actually work? Did they go above and beyond? Did they do extra, or did they just kind of do what they were supposed to do and felt like, hey, now it's my time. The guy in front of me's gone. Now it's my time. Well, listen, you don't deserve anything. You earn it all, and you're only renting that spot, and so. I want to ask you this, Cardell, because you were in a situation crazy. The day that Braxton, blows out his shoulder, JT had just got moved ahead of you. He's a young player. You were a fourth-year player at that point? Third-year player?
Jesus, that was third-year player.
Third-year player. Fourth-year player. I'm bringing this up as a positive example. And so, when guys start passing people, and you're starting to younger guys, and it's different at quarterback because you got one dude usually out there. But, hey, you maybe thought you were going to get 75% of the reps. Now, all of a sudden, you might be on the 25% train, and, you can either start to complain about that or you can get upset. And that's why, you were obviously ready when you came in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, so, the mindset of being in that position of saying, hey, my team might need me. This might not be what I envisioned for myself,
right?
But this is where we are right now. How do I best improve, and then how do I best contribute to the team?
So one thing that when I was in that situation where JT was named this guy and I was younger, and he was younger clearly, so I was okay. Well, I still have an opportunity because if you go out there and stinking up, maybe they see something like, hey.
So you're pulling for him to fail.
No, I wouldn't say that. I was staying ready.
He said,
I was staying ready. I was staying ready.
No.
So it got to a point during the season where we didn't look that good, and clearly when the offense does not look that good, or team, who they blaming?
Quarterback every time.
Exactly. So I'm knocking on the door to Coach Herman at the time. What's up? My time, right? My time to shine, right? And he's just like, listen here, you got to start when you got a quarterback, you want him to play like the guy no matter what. And I understood that. And then the next game after I think it's our first Big Ten play versus Indiana, he go out and have 600 yards of total offense. So that's when you start seeing the rise of JT Brown. I'm like, oh well. It's no space for me here. Next week, I forgot who we played, but another 600 yards.
So you would have been portal sliding at that point.
So long story short, pretty much. But I told Coach Herman, I was like, hey, I'm here for the team. I do everything for the team, but I don't see myself here next year.
Yeah, that's real.
And I'm like, but it's not like I'm quitting on my team now. I'm still staying ready. It was points where I forgot who we were playing, but the quarterback was a nice-sized guy. He was favoring me. And I was like, clearly I was live by choice. I mean, I was live by no choice. I had no choice but to be live in practice, but it was sometimes I was like, you know what? I'm doing inside drill today, or things like that, because I'm trying to get my team ready, even though I'm not the guy. And these guys just don't have that mindset now. And speaking about the whole Pope situation, totally unacceptable. Would never happen with strong leadership, in my opinion.
Maybe we need you to go in and talk to the guys. He might be the person.
I think
we kind of had this conversation last week, though, as far as
we even touched on the Dallas Gant situation last week, right? When these guys, when you start the season, when you commit yourself to the season in that football team, there shouldn't be a midseason transfer portal. You shouldn't be thinking about, hey, I'm leaving the team after week 2, week 3, whatever it might be. When you say, hey, I'm going in the fall camp and I'm competing for playing time, it doesn't matter what happens that season. You're committing yourself to that football team and that locker room, and that's where you need to be.
Little did we know that mid-season portal would be the least of Ohio State's concerns, because now they had a mid-game one Again,
the mid-game portal.
The mid-game portal. I didn't know that was a thing.
Who won?
Just want to remind all football fans, as much as we love the fall, we know that fall means cold weather is around the corner. Is your furnace ready? Whether you need a quick fix or a whole new system, BCA Mechanical is your local Bryant Heating and Cooling dealer. They will do whatever it takes to make sure your system is up to the task. You can rely on BCA Mechanical to provide great service, and they'll make sure you and your family stay warm and comfortable all winter long. Be sure to schedule your appointment today at bcamechanical.com. Bryant and BCA Mechanical doing whatever it takes. They're the presenting sponsor of Weekend Kickoff this week. So whatever it takes to get past Akron is not that much. We're going to stop talking about what happened.
Roll out your helmets.
Roll out the helmets, and they did. They won. But that's not maybe going to be the case.
Some props, though? We have been on them for a long time, for a couple weeks, and like I already said, they deserved it.
Okay,
right?
Who impressed you most last week? Who's going to play a key role against Rutgers?
Who's going to play a key role against Rutgers? I think you have to look at Travion Henderson. I mean, I really do. I think going into Big Ten play on the road, yes, C.J. Stroud has looked supposedly great this week in practice, and I think everyone knows he's going to be the starting quarterback come Saturday.
He is.
But Travion Henderson is the answer. Travion Henderson's the answer to winning this football game. You've seen what he's done so far. He's averaging, 9.56 yards a carry or something like that?
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, right? Throwing out some facts.
Somebody came ready this week.
This is a guy that you got to ride. You got to send him, give him the ball 20, 25 times a game. And I think Ryan is seeing that. You know, the pass with Dwayne Haskins and Justin Fields, Ryan Days went to that NFL style. We're kind of throwing first and then running off of that.
Right.
Where now this year you're finally seeing Ryan change his thinking a little bit and say, hey, we got to get this guy the ball, and then we'll be able to throw off of that.
And you have a quarterback who's really young, who is struggling at times. He's got great numbers, but it's much easier to throw the ball when they've got dudes just flying up because you're ripping off 8 yards a carry. So Make it easy on your dude, you know. Set him up for success, and I think hopefully they're doing that. And another big piece, playing Rutgers now, which we all laugh and joke and make fun of Rutgers, but
this is not the same.
Greg Schiano, watch them play football.
This is not
they
the same
play tough.
Rutgers.
They're not as talented, but they're tough. They're physical. They're going to try to impose their will. They're going to try to dictate tempo in this game, and that's something I know that Ryan Day and Mickey Marotti, those guys have been talking this week about toughness, like running the football, stopping the run. We'll set up play action. We'll do some of those things, but don't think we have this magic bullet and we're just going to chuck it deep, to Garrett and Olave, and it'll all be good because we can just outrun them. Like, we're going to have to be tough to beat these guys, and that's the mentality you have to have. And so hopefully they're starting to instill a little bit of that in this offense.
I agree. And watching Rutgers games last week versus team up north, that's one thing I said about them. I said they played tough, they played and with pride. And Schiano being, having ties there before and getting a lot of these local New Jersey guys to stay in state and to buy into their program. I said that's what it's going to take. Sooner or later he'll start getting a few more talented guys. But I said that's what we're going to take for Ohio State to win this game is bring their toughness. And how you do that on the road, Coach Mick used to stress it, you pack your running game. You pack your running game. So my keys to the game, whatever it takes, is everybody who's carrying the ball.
The difference between the Michigan matchup last week and Ohio State this week is Rutgers and Greg Schiano, they want to get in a phone booth heavyweight boxing match. That's what they want to do. Say, you hit me in the face, now I get to punch you, right? And the tools, or I guess the assets that Ohio State has that Michigan doesn't, is Ohio State can spread them out and out-athlete them all game long and run up and down the field. And so that's what you're going to see. You saw Michigan in the second half not score any points. It was 23 at halftime. The game ended 2013. It was because Michigan tried pounding them and running the football because they don't have the athletes that Ohio State does, and they just couldn't.
That's why, Zach, everyone has talked this week about, you're going to Rutgers, and Greg Schiano tried all this crazy stuff last year. He made it a closer game. Ohio State's got to be on red alert. And they should be because they've already lost a game and they can't lose another one. But to use what happened for Rutgers, Michigan, I just simply don't buy it because Michigan is so wildly overrated again in September.
Hey.
Yeah, but you still you can witness, but you can't playing whoever. It doesn't matter. You can say that's a tough team. Win, lose, or draw. I don't care who you play.
And I'm not meaning to say that Rutgers is not going to play hard and that they won't try a plan, but to take it based off what happened against Michigan because they played
definitely
that to me is
definitely not.
Austin, I think you're comparing Michigan to Ohio State in this statement, right?
Yeah.
And you're comparing the matchup. Yes, they're completely two different teams. Do I think Michigan's overrated? Maybe. I don't, but they've played 4 teams on their schedule and they've taken care of business, right? So that's all you can ask them to do. Normally they were squeaking by. In the past, they have finally showed up and played the way they should be playing. But to compare those two teams, like you said, you can't, because Michigan is we're going to try and hit you in the mouth. That's the way we've went to. They used to try and out-athlete you, and they just didn't have the recruits for it. Whereas in Ohio State we got dudes all over the field, and we're going to spread you out. We're going to punch you in the mouth, and then we're going to throw it, 70 yards over your head.
I guarantee you Greg Schiano at halftime went in there and just basically laid it out. It's a toughness game at this point. You guys can fold and let them roll up 150 on you in the second half running the football and be in 4-minute offense the entire game, or you can fight back. And I guarantee you it's the same thing this week. He's going to sit there and probably talk about, Garrett Wilson, first-round draft pick, Chris Olave, all these guys, like all the skill they have. And then he's going to sit there and like challenge their manhood and their toughness. And listen, there's a prideful group like Greg Schiano, you embody what your coach is. People here might be, obviously disenchanted with Greg Schiano, the coordinator, but as the head coach, he does a good job of inspiring his guys, building a game plan, building a culture of toughness to where here's what he's telling them. They'll quit eventually. Like, they'll get away from the run. They don't want to deal with you for 4 quarters. They'll start going to their wide receivers, and then we got them. And so that's what you're trying to overcome at Ohio State. You kind of laugh at that, but anytime you become one-dimensional, it makes it a lot easier on the defense. Even if you don't have the players, you can start to mix things up, and it gets real hard for the guy taking the snaps to start figuring out what's going on.
Here's the one thing that helps this Ohio State team, though, is people have kind of bought into this Rutgers football team.
Yeah.
People up in Jersey are like, hey, we actually have something to watch now. But on the flip side, when you're an Ohio State football player, you're going to a stadium that actually is packed somewhat, right? And they're going to come out there and pack that stadium. It's a lot better playing in front of a full crowd than it is a quarter crowd that you see at Illinois or some of these other places.
Let's not go too far with
I got an argument for Greg.
But it's a good environment, though. Overall, it's a good environment. They play hard for their coach. You look at for them it is. For them, I'm not talking about but yeah, it's a good environment for they play hard for their coach. You look at programs that years ago we used to laugh at, but they got a new coach and these guys are buying into, and that's what Rutgers remind me of.
Yeah.
They got a guy who believe that he's supposed to be there, and he's going to recruit the guys that believe they was born to be at Rutgers.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how I look at it.
Born to be at Rutgers. You might want to talk to Greg. Put that down. You were born to be at Rutgers.
BB, I know, loves what Coach Schiano brings.
Loves that guy, don't you? Tell me some great stories.
Hey, listen here.
He has colorful language.
I'm going to pray for y'all because I'm trying to
pray
be
for y'all.
There's kids in here tonight, BB.
This is my thing, okay? When it comes to with Coach Schiano, this is what I will say. If you compare football to chess, Coach Schiano is Bobby Fischer, through and through. You know what I mean? I'm going to call.
Who's Bobby Fischer?
Look it up. Hey, you do good at doing homework. Do your homework.
I was like, who's Bobby
Do your homework.
Fischer? I'm definitely looking
This is a football show.
Amy Fisher?
But it matters. One of the greatest chess players of all time.
Fisher?
One reason why he didn't have as much success at Ohio State is this. What the athletes that he had when he was at OSU, it's not chess, it's checkers. You know what I mean? So at times, he overcoached himself. I know.
I thought you were going to say you guys weren't good enough.
Crazy, isn't it? Never that. But this is the thing. Coach Schiano, with the group that he has at Rutgers, he's going to, number one, have them juiced up. He's going to always have a speech for them to get them to a certain level, to get their confidence level higher than what it potentially could be. And he's going to have a great scheme all the way across the board. He's going to be anal on the scheme offensively and defensively. Because this is the game that he definitely wants to win, and he is a big, small detail. One thing he used to tell me back when I played for him, it said, football is like a jigsaw puzzle. See a little, see a lot, see a lot, see nothing. It's about the little detail. See a little, see a lot, see a lot, see nothing.
I'm still packing in the metaphors and philosophy
but
tonight.
It always stuck with me.
Who are you?
That's good. He got a little something. Yeah,
just a little bit.
Yeah.
I went to class a little bit when I chose to. But one thing about him is he's going to make sure a lot of those little details are taken care of. So the biggest thing with our offense against Greg Schiano defense is if we can't establish the run, they're going to struggle. Period.
Yeah.
So all of our keys to whatever it takes, it's the run game.
Correct. It is.
Great.
As a defense, we have to not only stop the run, but we have to be disciplined, because this is going to be a team that whatever little thing that we give up, they will exploit.
Yeah.
They'll make sure that they exploit it. So we have to be on P's and Q's all the way across the board, which in past times you could have never said for a Rutgers football team. We could go in and play with all freshmen that, okay, when I played my senior year, freshmen could play 4 games. We could play every freshman and probably be fine.
Yep.
And come out and win by 21 points. You can't say that now.
All right, so it's almost halftime here. We're going to do a Coors Light 2-minute drill. Just give me one guy who impressed you last week.
Oh, I thought you meant like who could chug it. How many beers can you chug in
I mean, I don't know if you can get that new busy down from Coors Light before
Pretty good.
These guys get their 2-minute drill out.
They're fantastic.
Who impressed you last week?
I'm going to have to go to the group as a whole as a defense. They came out shocky a little bit, and I know everybody when Akron went down to score. We all
giving up a drive for a touchdown to open the game?
Yeah, I know. All of us was like, what? But the way they bounce back, the way they play hard, the way they play together, the way they stay consistent with the game plan, I liked it.
The whole defense.
It's hard to pick one. No offense to Akron. It's hard to pick one guy versus Akron. I mean, that one guy could have stood out, and you probably never hear from him again.
Okay.
So we'll go with the defense.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going with our guy, Tyleek Williams. A guy who
stole his guy.
Yeah, we broke him down on Monday, and this is a dude who's a true freshman. As a 3 technique is coming in and has a great pass rush, is great with his hands, has relentless effort. For a freshman, you normally don't see that, right? You see a guy pin his ears back, get upfield, and the next thing you know, it's like, okay, I'm going to turn around and kind of watch what's going on. This is a guy who is so far ahead of his time. Larry Johnson's going to keep on playing him. I think you're going to see more and more true freshmen playing on the defensive line
100%.
because those older guys need either a push in or they need to get out of the way because these young guys are coming in. They're starting to gain some confidence, and we saw it last week, and I expect the same thing from them against Rutgers.
100%. For me personally, but it's going to be in the interior D lineman for me between Tyleek and Haskell. I feel like they complemented each other so well, and they had very high production within the game. Now, on the back end, when we come to the second segment, I do have some arguments for the defensive ends.
All right, we'll keep it
I'll
there.
be honest with you.
All right,
so
tease it.
For me, it's going to be those.
Tease it. Long tease. I like that. I mean, you can't do that to BB, man. When you got guys in the interior of the D-line playing that well, you can't steal his dudes.
That's why you add one.
Sorry.
I mean, you add.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey, I got to be in 1075. We good. Don't worry about it.
All right, we're good. Okay, for me.
Barely, but I got it.
I mean, I'm going to go. Trying to figure out, I'm going to go with a Ronnie Hickman, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, is that okay?
That's
Can I go with the guy that distracted everybody? If for nothing else, then he distracted the world from what potentially could have been a very embarrassing situation for the school. And the fact that people are like, "Oh, you're blowing out of proportion," like I'm not. If he wouldn't have sent the tweet, no one would have known. But the fact that he was like scoring a touchdown, and everyone's celebrating, and no one's noticing what's going on like on the sidelines, like that is what saved everything. But Ronnie Hickman's a dude, man.
Teamwork, yeah.
He's playing well. He's playing physical. All of those young guys, they're starting to gain confidence in their fits and how aggressive they can be. And Ronnie Hickman, I think he can be an explosive player, man. He can be a dynamic guy. You look at his body type. He checks all the boxes, and he's starting to figure it out. None of these guys had many reps. And so every game, like from 1 game to 2 game, you're getting like twice as good, like twice the experience. I mean, it's still, these guys are climbing fast.
You're starting to see that back end with Cam Martinez, Ronnie Hickman, Denzel Burke, like even Lathan Ransom is, he was a true freshman last year. He's starting to come into his own, right? You're seeing these guys gain more and more confidence on the back end. And everyone's been pointing the fingers at the secondary for the last year and a half on guess what? Now everyone's looking around like, man, we got some playmakers. Now you got to worry about the guys up front.
You just made my argument.
Can we just say,
that, right?
Can we just pull up Michael Jordan about those guys in the back end? The ceiling is the roof.
Ceiling is the roof.
And there is no roof on the shoe. So that's good.
That feels like a great place for us to regroup at halftime here of Weekend Kickoff, which is brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. We will be right back to talk a lot more about Ohio State at Rutgers.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes BCA Mechanical. Find them at bcamechanical.com.
And now with some early bowl predictions, Bobby Carpenter.
Well, Austin, what I'm seeing here is 12 lucky Roosters guests are getting the opportunity to travel to this year's Buckeye Bowl game. Each trip comes complete with 2 tickets, airfare, and hotel. One prize winner will be chosen each week. Guessing to register weekly at roosterswings.com.
That's great, Bobby. What I was asking was your prediction for the Buckeyes this bowl season.
I have no idea. I'm going to Roosters right now to register.
All right, taking a quick break from Weekend Kickoff, which is brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems and our friends at bcamechanical.com. Well, that's where you go. BCA Mechanical. I just call it, I don't know what I'm doing. Jeremiah is back with us again. It's nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
What's new with BCA? What's going on right now as we turn into October?
We are running a clean filter maintenance club promotion. We're going to start doing so what it comes with is you get 2 performance tune-ups per year. In the spring and the fall. You get priority service calls, scheduling, 10% off of parts. No diagnostic fees for 30 days after we're there. We're going to run that at $279.99 plus filters. We're going to do, when we're there doing the 2 services a year, we will bring filters with us, and then the other 2 services, if you have smaller than the 6-month filters, we'll send them to you, drop ship them to you, and then the homeowner would change them or something like that. Rolling this into when we replace the equipment, we're going to offer a 10-year labor warranty as well. So that, but you have to maintain our service program during that time.
That's a great deal. Do they have to tell them to Lettermen Row send them, or how do they?
So we're also going to do $1,000 off of any Bryant Evolution equipment. That is going to be a Lettermen Row promotion. That we are going to, if you call about it, whatever, let us know, Lettermen Row promotion. We'll know what you're talking about. It is on only certain qualified Bryant equipment, but we're going to offer that. So $1,000 off.
All right. So the website, call them, whatever, however that works. You throw that out there. Yep.
Another thing I wanted to touch on is UV lights. With all the bacteria, everything going around the world we live in now. I think there's a lot of bacteria, I think, in our homes that people don't think about. It's kind of like we're in our home, it's not here, you know what I mean? We offer a lot of different options. Premier One's one of the options that we offer, starting out at $8.99, depending on what you have. It mounts in your ductwork, so if you have ductwork and you are moving air to air, heating and air conditioning, you can install one. A lot of hospitals, a lot of businesses are using them. There's also some standalone stuff that you can get. I run one in my house, and I'm a believer.
Well, if you didn't use it.
If I use it, everyone should use it.
That's right.
So
nobody knows better than you.
So
All right. What's going to happen on Saturday?
Buckeyes. I hope.
You hope?
I hope.
All right. You don't have a score prediction for us?
No.
All right.
No.
A win.
I'm thinking about this game, too, tonight.
Okay. All right. What you got in that one?
I don't know.
Right.
I'm going with the Bengals.
See,
I'm a Bengals fan.
That one's tougher because by the time that we post this, it'll be over. But you still get to hold on. A win is a win for the Buckeyes on Saturday for you. That's Jeremiah. The website and the phone number, you need to throw that out for him again?
www.bcamechanical.com. Phone number is 614-853-8124.
All right, check them out. They're our good friends. They help make this happen for all of you guys. We're going to get back to the show. Jeremiah, good to see you. Back to Weekend Kickoff, brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems and BCA Mechanical. All right, welcome back. It's the second half of Weekend Kickoff. It is brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. We have to jump right into it. Cardale's got his eye on it. Right, some big stuff happening tonight. He's definitely got a rooting interest. He knows that quarterback in Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, a guy named Joe Burrow. So from last year and as we talked about LSU season as unfolded, 2 years ago, right? Talk about their season unfolding. You knew who I was pulling for, and that's my guy. So I'm excited to see him perform on national television and a national televised game, clearly, versus another guy that you guys know.
All right,
Trevor Lawrence.
We do know him a little bit. The Buyers Auto question for Cardale. Again, we have more quarterback stuff to talk about.
Yeah, let's go.
It sounds like everything that we've heard this week is that the week of rest for C.J. Stroud worked. He's been taking the reps again, the first team reps, feeling confident. Garrett Wilson says it's the best he's seen it spin it in a long time. So, do you
think to his favorite target
on the ones and twos?
Favorite target says he's good to go.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson said he also talked to C.J. Stroud last week and said he encouraged him to take that week off. So, do you think?
What does that mean?
Do you think?
Hey, bro, you're good. Sit this one out.
Well, I think that's something that we've also talked about, Bob. Like,
yes.
It was something he could have potentially kept playing through.
Bob, you've missed the last 2 weeks.
He's been checked out.
He's been on ESPN.
Too big to be back at weekend kickoff.
Yeah.
So,
Bobby making the big bread.
So what's the question?
How significant do you think that week of rest could have been? And would you have any second thoughts about what Kyle McCord showed and how that relates to playing somebody on Saturday?
No, I think that rest was big for him because I know at a certain point in time, guys really look forward to the bye week, especially the big guys who are in the trenches. And, with him dealing with a nagging injury, one thing that Coach Schlegel used to say, and Coach Vrabel is you know this phrase, your availability, your durability. Yeah, is
availability.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So those nagging injuries can add up to something big in in the long run where they might need him the most, so it's good to have him back to, I guess, close to 100% as possible. Don't know what it has to be, but I don't think anything that Kyle did last week surprised me versus Akron. I think he did enough and what everybody expected him to do in the Buckeyes on offense. And I think you still go with CJ as, clearly that's what I think Ryan A is doing this weekend.
Yep.
And but it's nice to know that we have a guy that's, more than capable enough to lead this team to victories if anything happened to CJ or he continue to deal with his nagging injury.
Well, finally you have other guys who have thrown passes in games.
That's a good.
So it's like, hey, the first time we have to throw you in there, who knows? It could be against Michigan State, and it's a 3rd and 6, and you've never even thrown a pass in a collegiate game like that. It's a bad situation.
Not good.
Yeah.
No, it's a bad deal. So at least they got some experience there. I thought Kyle played well. I mean, did what he probably was supposed to do. Looked a little bit like CJ against Minnesota. Like, you're juiced up. You get out there, you're going to throw some balls high, you settle in, and you play a little bit better. So I think that, it's showing the depth in the room, a little bit of what they have. And if there's a situation where, if CJ takes a big shot and you've got to put Kyle in, I think people probably feel a little better about it now.
Exactly. Let me tee you up for it, that there was an expectation by some people, not everybody.
You know the way I think.
That you would put in a true freshman and magically he would be better, or that it would spark the offense or whatever. But guess what? It was another first-time starter.
Well, last week's game, I think, not only was great for C.J. Stroud from a health standpoint, but was also great from a confidence standpoint because through the first couple weeks of the season, everyone wants to point the finger at C.J. Stroud saying he's terrible, even though he's put up these crazy numbers. And then we've seen on Twitter, tagging Lettermen Row and all of us up here, that, everyone who supposedly, these people that think they're at the Woody Hayes facility every day and thinks just because he's a 5-star quarterback isn't go out and look like Joe Montana or Brett Favre, right?
Put in yours.
Right. Everyone's like, put in this guy, put in that guy. You aren't at practice. Do you think Ohio State's not going to play the most game-ready guy that's going to help this team win? You are crazy if you think they're over there playing favorites. We've all seen it. And so finally people realize, like, hey, Kyle McCord is a good quarterback. You saw what he can do and what he can do in the future. But being a true freshman going out there and leading this football team, he's not ready for that. And so finally I think everyone's like, oh, well, you're right. C.J. Stroud is a really good football player and is the best person to lead this team on offense.
So Jeff Hireman was wrong last week. I wanted to jump across the table on Jeff. One, because he was in my spot. Two, because he was just so anti-CJ Stroud. Yeah, he was so anti-CJ and thinking that Kyle or Jack was going to just come in. No matter what they do, they're the guys.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, bro, what are you talking about?
That's why he didn't even show up the next week.
He didn't want to hear me. Yeah,
but to be honest, every Ohio State fan, it's like that shiny new toy, right? The 5-star recruit that comes in there, it's like, oh my gosh, like I watch his highlight tapes. I'm his biggest fan, this and that. And you think he's going to go to college and you think it's going to be the same as high school, and it's not. I mean, it's a completely different game.
All that sounds great, and we made points like this before. Like, all that recruiting and 5-stars, and I don't care what you come from or who you are or what you did in high school, we know more guys who was highly recruited and didn't pan out, as the hype or the stars might say he should or they should. Yeah. And just a watch. So, because we got 4 or 5-star quarterbacks or whatever it is, that don't mean all of them can play.
Right.
This is my question, though. When you look at it, now I'm about to make a certain argument as far as like.
Is it about Jets?
No, when it comes down to the culture, okay? Like, he played the way that he did. He went 13 for what? 18 for about 319?
Yeah.
Or 320 or something like that. He went 13 for 18 for about 320, right?
Yep.
That right there, in the long run, put C.J. Stroud in the situation of, okay, I'm not going to say situation. That's going to force C.J. to step up his game because now he knows that, granted, you are the ready quarterback at the moment, but at the same time, you are still expendable. You know what I mean? So it forces a certain level of competition to where they can bring out the best in one another going down the long haul. Because when it's all said and done, it's a long football season. Especially with Ohio State, you're expected to win the Big Ten. Go to and win the Big Ten championship. You're expected to make the playoffs. And your quarterback and defense at times as a whole is expected to get you there.
Right.
So I think, this past week's performance should, or I would hope, would put CJ in a position to where it's like, you know what? All right, I got to step my game up a little bit better.
Yeah.
He can play ball. He can play quarterback. Mentally, he might not be as good and developed and advanced as me, but physically, he can make the reads, he can make the passes, and he can do just as much as I can do to get us a win as a team.
Right.
So that's going to potentially force to bring the best out of CJ, and we might see a even better quarterback in this next week's game.
I think that's what Ohio State is.
Whether it's Akron or not.
But what they're hoping for is they get him back against Rutgers at 3:30 on Saturday. The Coors Light Silver Bullet picks. Ohio State, again, is a 15-point favorite over the Scarlet Knights. I think it came down maybe a point. Zach, you've probably got the updated.
It was 15 and a half. It is currently at 15.
Currently at 15. So
if we're taking our 15 right now,
we're going to lock it in at 15.
Okay, I take it. I'm taking it. Are we going with our picks now?
Yeah, let's do it. And why?
I got Ohio State. 35, Rutgers 14.
35-14. So Cardale also does believe in that defense.
I do.
Love to see it.
I like it.
I do. Because we talked about toughness, but I think it's going to come to a point of no matter how tough you are, you got to have the athletes, and I don't think Rutgers can keep up with that point.
Okay. I'm going to go Ohio State 38-10. And I think, the offense is going to – Travion Henderson's going to get a bunch of carries. We're going to see that early. I think they're going to chew up a lot of clock. I think on defense more so than anything, though, these young guys, especially in the back end and some of these young defensive linemen, are going to continue to get better and better and better. And I think you're going to see them take another step this week. And I think this is a great game for them. You play Akron, who, everyone's like, oh, the MAC, there's a negative behind the positive with the final last week. Now you're going on the road in the Big Ten, and I think this Rutgers team sets up perfectly for a young defense just because they are going to try and hit you in the mouth. They're not going to scare you by spreading you out and picking you apart. And so they're not going to stress them in a way that, as a young defender, it's hard to be stressed, right? Hitting bunch formations like Oregon did and running crossing patterns and things like that. This can be more of a straightforward offense that they're going to see, and I think these young guys, defensive linemen, DBs, are going to take another step, and they're going to get off to a good start and then play a Maryland team next week that will throw the ball and will test them a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to go 42-14 just because I'm going to spot them 14 points because Greg Schiano, me knowing him the way that I do, he's going to come out and
your favorite defensive coordinator, I believe.
This guy.
You're so disrespectful. You baby guy, I like you. But Coach Schiano's going to come out and do something that is not expected and is not planned for and that they have not put on film yet. Every now and then you got to spot a team some points because when you're dealing with an elite athlete, an elite football player, film is important. And tendencies are important. He's going to do something to go away from his tendencies. I'm going to spot them 14 points. However, a defense is going to hold them to 14. And offensively, especially if we can get the ball rolling on the ground, once you get the ball rolling on the ground, there's nothing as a defense that you can really do if your kahunas can't drop up front and you getting what you kind of deserve.
Okay.
I'm going to go Ohio State 38, Rutgers 17.
Okay.
I would like
Four covers.
Spot the field goal.
I would like to see probably more like 38-10, but they're going to probably pound the football. Maybe they get a late touchdown. Greg Schiano's going to have these guys ready to play. I think it'll be a game and competitive in the first half, maybe through the third quarter. I would like to believe that at that point, some of the skill and the big plays will begin to wear Rutgers down, and Ohio State will then separate. Ideally, that's what I'm hoping for, and that's what I'm planning for. I like what the defense has been doing. I think they're improving. They're going to get better. I think they'll still give up some plays in the run game, but they are starting to fit stuff up a lot better at the second and third levels, which is something that's been a problem here over the first 3 weeks. Last week a little better. They still have some work to do.
Yep.
Agreed.
I think that this team is only getting better, and there's a lot of just stuck negativity about this team that I don't think
they deserve anymore.
I don't think it applies anymore. Like, that happened. They lost to Oregon. We were critical of it. They struggled a little bit against Tulsa. When you put it in context with so many young players, I believe the great Bobby Carpenter once said that you have to grow out to show out.
You do.
They grew out on last Saturday night, a night game against Akron. Who was fired up?
And I understand the flip side that if people want to be skeptical and they don't want to put stock in Akron, fine. I'm not going to change anybody's mind on that. I think that this team, there's a lot more confidence inside the Woody from the coaching staff. A lot of these young guys who've now done it multiple times. The mood has changed completely in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They had to take a hard look at themselves, and they did that. Like, I don't think anybody planned in August.
What's a soft look like? What is that?
But to your point, I think the Tulsa game was a hangover from the disappointment against Oregon, right? You're riding high.
Yeah.
I think just it was so flat that you go out against a Tulsa team thinking, hey, we're just going to run them over. And next thing you know, they do punch you in the face. So I agree with you.
And they made big changes. They put young guys out there. They played. They changed. Nobody thought in August that Matt Barnes was going to be calling the defense by the end of September. Like, they've had to have a reckoning about what happened, and I think that will show up with another big win for Ohio State on Saturday. I will say 45-10.
Ooh,
I like
biggest spread of them all.
The biggest spread of the.
Can I make some predictions real quick?
Yeah, do it.
College football is going to get turned upside down this weekend.
When Cincinnati beat Notre
I'm
Dame.
calling this right now. You guys ready for this?
I agree.
Notre Dame goes down. Georgia goes down.
I agree.
Oklahoma goes down. And I think Ole Miss and Alabama are closer than what people think. Ole Miss is going to cover. I'm not calling the upset, but Oklahoma, Georgia, and Notre Dame are all going down this weekend.
I agree
Well,
with
it's
you
not
with
like
2 out of the
it's
3.
going
I
to
don't
be
know
an
about the
upset
Bama game.
because Cincinnati is ranked higher than Notre Dame.
They're favored in
But
the game.
Who?
Cincinnati. They're favored by 2.
I like that
Are
quarterback
they-
too.
no,
I
They're
like
favored by 2.
I don't think so. I think
No,
they're +2.
As of today, they were minus. This
were.
afternoon, they
so
were
it's
minus.
changed. I'm not up to
They
date
were.
on that
They
one.
were.
Let's see.
They were.
Big weekend for college football.
When
It's going to be fun.
when I'm driving through Pennsylvania, I think where it's legal, I'll just fire up those odds, make sure that we've got it.
I'm telling you, hey, if you threw some money lines on those bad boys, that's a hell of a payday, boys.
I'm going to have to owe Zach Bourne a cut if I make any of that this weekend. Looking forward to a great Saturday of college football. Getting it started right now with weekend kickoff. Brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. We appreciate them. Urban Meyer's Pint House, Byers Auto, Coors Light for having us back so we can talk about this huge one on Saturday, 3:30 in the afternoon. Cardale Jones, Zach Bourne, Robert Landers, Bobby Carpenter. I'm just Austin Ward. We will see you right back here next week. Enjoy the game, folks.